call the Sunnyvale 4B Economic Development Board meeting for Tuesday, December the 13th to order at 5:31 p.m. All members present other than member Chase, Nair, and LaShawn. Open for public comment. The 4B Board of Directors invites citizens to address the board on any matter except items on the agenda. Anybody like to speak? Nobody in the public comment. Move on to discussion item 1. Discuss, consider, and act upon the minutes from November 7th. That was a short meeting and we didn't have financials, so it looks correct to me.
I wasn't here, so.
Right.
All right, well, I'll make a motion.
Motion made by member Cash. I'll second. All those in favor? Passes. Move on to number 2. Discuss, consider, and act upon the October 2022 and November 2022 financial reporting and related items.
Good evening. First, I'm going to apologize for the overabundance of financial information that you all received. However, due to kind of the timing of some information that we received, we wanted to update them so that we could present the most accurate information for your review. So I'm going to start first with the month of October, and on that monthly finance report, that cover page there, you can see that we've included a column that reflects where the 4B ended up as of 9/30. So the last time we met, we were still processing invoices that were for the prior year. So we have closed out fiscal year 21-22, and we believe these numbers to be accurate as of 9/30, of course, pending a final audit. Your beginning fund balance on October the 1st of 2021 was $3,019,460. You ended the fiscal year 21-22 with $1,496,972 in revenue, and total expenditures of $729,322. That gave you an ending fund balance of $3,787,109. The next column right there is what your budget is for the current fiscal year. And then the very last column will be your as of 10/31/22 numbers. So as of October the 31st, we have sales tax recorded year to date, which is 1 month actual for the month of October, of $159,184.12. Year-to-date interest earned is $1,282.72. Of course, your monthly totals and your year-to-date totals will be the same because this is the first month of the new year. Your year-to-date expenses total $25,773.43, and your month-to-date expenses included routine payroll, your monthly landscape maintenance at the Four Corners, some maintenance and repair of irrigation at the Four Corners. In D Magazine, we had advertising for the Sunnyvale EDC in the state of DFW issue, new trash cans for Town Center Park, and a deposit for the new fountain in the pond at Town Center Park. As of 10/31/22, you had total revenue of $160,467, total expenses of $25,773, bringing your ending fund balance to $3,921,802. So if y'all have any questions on those, if not, we can.
If y'all are looking, sorry.
Yeah, it should have stated that these financials are the ones that were on the dais.
So there's financials that are underneath y'all's agendas, just in case you didn't find them. That's what she's going off
Yeah.
of, so. Gotcha.
Yeah. It is. You do have 1 month actual, and that is kind of what led to this having multiple finance copies here of your, or multiple copies of your financials, is because we were trying to present where you were actually for October. But there's a timing difference in when we receive that information from the comptroller's office. And also, of course, they do run 60 days, 2 months in arrears. But it's a good start.
Still a big jump.
Yes.
Go back 4 fiscal years, and last year was substantially higher than years prior. October still trending way up.
Yes.
Is that the highest we've ever seen?
Yeah. Let me see if I have the number here for. Yeah, this is, higher than you were really for the month of September. September came in at $156,141. Which is good news. Not in the month of October, no. That payment that was on 10/7/22 actually posted to the prior year. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to November. So for the month of November, again, your revenues are gonna look a little skewed, but that's because the sales tax receipts running, you're 60 days behind. So the only thing that's gonna be reflected in your revenues for the month of November is gonna be interest earned, and that was $1,242.13. Your month-to-date expenses were $14,884. Those included your routine payroll, the monthly landscape maintenance at the Four Corners, and some professional legal services for the month of October. So year-to-date, your total revenues are $161,708. Your total expenses, $40,658. So as of 11/30, that brings your ending fund balance to $3,908,160.
Yeah, I think so. We've got a presentation coming up I've got some more photos than this, but took some photos on Monday, and yeah, I think it's gonna be set back just a little bit, so. I don't have a date, no, sir. No, I mean, just, really, it was just some updates.
Is this, the trailway, are we gonna do that on Jobson as well, or just Tripp?
Jobson as well. So
So
this,
we will do Jobson before we build the barn? Because if you're gonna do that, then you put concrete, it's gonna get damaged.
so we're actually, you've got the approaches there. There's two approaches over at Glacier on the Jobson side. They're actually not gonna pour the trail across the drive because of that.
Okay.
At some point in time, there's gonna be additional road work done on Jobson. And at that point in time, then those drive approaches would be beefed up, and instead of pouring this and then it being torn up and spending money again, it's gonna stop there for a period of time. So what we've talked about doing is maybe putting some asphalt in there. It needs some help anyways, just to try to, as kind of a stopgap until they do something else with the road. They're actually, what they're doing, if you can see on my cursor here, if you see that dumpster enclosure off in the distance where that cursor is for the fire station, so there's quite a bit of grade change right there. So they're actually taking all this fill and they're going and taking it back over here. They're building that up because that is where that trail connection will go on down as it goes north towards the Spring Lake Estates connection. So I think they're probably gonna have to add some more, but that's what they've been doing is taking all of this and taking it back down here. Yeah, I've got a presentation for a little bit of everything. This was just things that have occurred.
The top bracket, yes, sir, moves up and down. We've run into an issue with the brackets. They're not very sturdy. The wind's already blown one of them loose. So we're going back to the manufacturer. If the manufacturer can't help us, then we've already found the Cadillac of brackets that I've used at other facilities. What we might have to do, and we want to make the banners larger as well. Now, we won't be able to go any lower, but we will be able to go higher even if we add the new brackets. Because if we remove the support poles that are there, we're gonna have to cover up that hole that it'll leave. But we will be able to go wider and higher. And then you'll be able to see them better too once the lights are, working.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it was nice to see them go up, but originally we were hoping to participate in the
Some of the poles,
selections. That was all the comments I've heard is, they look neat, they're pretty small, so.
some of the poles are even different sizes. They come off the light pole itself further. So we're gonna try to rectify all that with the manufacturer. And if we can't, then we've already got the banner supports picked, and all we have to do is find the funding and make the purchase.
Cool.
Okay?
And then they've been running the wire, so any estimate on when that lighting event will be?
I believe that they're waiting on something with Encore. I'm trying to remember. They're trying to find a temporary panel that they can make their terminations on. I guess the permanent panel is on back order, or it's not available.
Okay.
There's some delay on stuff like that. They're looking for a temporary option, I believe, to get them operational, and then they'll make those changes. So, I don't know a date. I just know that, our town engineer's been calling them frequently, as in daily, so.
Okay. And then on the economic development front, since there's nothing in the agenda, I'm guessing there's nothing you can share yet on any of the facilities on 80 or anything else?
No, I mean, other than, you know, I've got there's stuff going, I know there's some things going on. I have had some conversations with the tenants that are there. It is 2 long-term tenants. And, I know they're supposed to be having furniture delivered this week on one of the buildings. And they're gonna actually, start occupying the building, probably after the first of the year. The, one of the other ones, the, building in the back, there's a little bit of a delay. They're waiting on some, upgraded electrical that Encore's gotta install before that can be operational, but hopefully, after the first of the year, we're gonna try to get a tour and some things like that going on. So, so that would, hopefully then we can talk a little bit more about it. So,
And then anything else on the Beltline project, sports complex, or is that?
no, I mean, there's still, it's still ongoing. There's been some changes. There may be some changes to their site plan. There's some things like that they're still working on in development services, as far as, some of their ideas and the original things that they had proposed. But the athletic club is still, all of that is still the same. It's just some of the other, uses.
Any other questions?
I did put this in here about the, tax increment reinvestment zones, in this update. It's number 2 and 3 because number 1 was originally over in the industrial area sometime back, but, these are the 2 zones. And if y'all are, if you're not familiar with how this works, it's basically, you know, there's a base year for evaluation on the property, and,
Well, real quick, so this is, I mean, I know when new town manager came on board, this was one of his big pushes, and that was one of the reasons we weren't able to do some combined meetings where they were working through budget, but also working through this. So, yeah, if you can just kind of explain the whole thing to us so everybody understands what it is.
right, so the second reading of the ordinance, turn this mic up a little bit, sorry. So the second, reading of the ordinance was last night. It's essentially, it's an economic development tool to help fund long-term capital projects. It does not affect your tax rate. It's not new taxes or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's a way to capture, more, if you will, more of the, ad valorem taxes that are already there to go for, long-term capital improvements. So we went through, Lyle, myself, Jeff, our Public Works Director, JD. We went through all of the capital improvement plan for the town, and anywhere, we tried to cover as much as you could think of long-term, whether it had to do with 190, whether it was, water, sewer, infrastructure, anything you can imagine, we tried to put on a project list. And, so the TERS, once it's established, it can be revised over time. You know, as far as the cost for a TERS, it doesn't cost anything else. So, and some of the notes here, it doesn't affect our bond rating, our debt capacity. And this is just kind of a illustration of what I just said, essentially. You've got your base year, then you've got your, you know, it's split. Part of it goes into the TERS, part of it goes to the general fund. And then, like I said, that gets directed for capital projects, roads. I forget, do you remember, Phyllis? Was it 190 million capital improvement projects? I think we estimate it's $190 million in capital improvement projects over a period of time. So, and you know, by establishing these zones, prior to development, once the development does start, then your increment that goes from your base to your next, you should get an infusion into that TERS to allow you to move forward with some of those projects at a faster rate. So. And like I said, these are, this is the number 2. This would be the one to the north. And then this is the kind of the north and the southern zone here.
So the areas that aren't selected, what's that purpose?
Built out.
Oh.
It's most of that's going to be residential that's already existing. There is a cap, I believe it's 50%. The zone can't be more than 50%. And so what the consultant and what we worked on was to try to back some of those areas that were built out to stay around that 45%, in case, you know, property values go up, something like that. I know that right now with the situation with the economy, that's not really discussed, or, you know, there's a lot of folks that don't think that's going to happen, but in the event that it does, it gives us a little latitude there, that 5%. So, and, you know, if we were to get to a point where we were going over that 50, then we would have to adjust the zone to stay under that. Just a little update on the events. The turkey trot was canceled. The tree lighting was the 2nd, and then this Friday at 6 o'clock at the school is the Movies in the Moonlight drive-in. JD, what is it again? It's the Grinch and
The first feature will be Charlie Brown Christmas, and then the second will be Grinch Stole Christmas.
Which version?
The middle one.
One of them. Any questions on any of this? We'll move on to agenda item number 4, discuss and review a presentation for ongoing and upcoming trail projects.
right, so this is our Trip Road Trail connection. November 22nd, Town Council approved the, y'all's recommendation to declare it a project and funding, not to exceed $460,000. If I apologize for some of these photos, especially the aerials. If you didn't know, the Dallas County Appraisal District website was hacked, so a lot of our aerials and our maps and things like that we use for various presentations, we don't have access to them. So these are just some aerial Google images. You can see the fire station here. It is under construction in this picture, but and then I tried to leave these gaps in here to show what we were discussing earlier about those approaches where it stops. And this is just, it's not exact. It's just showing it. So there's photos from the original, from the update. So right here in front of the skid steer, they're actually building a box culvert. Originally, we thought it was probably going to be like a tin horn type drainage, but they're actually forming up a culvert. There's two drainage areas off a trip, one right there, and another one, if you can see it where the cursor is down here by those willow trees. Just a few more photos. This is that other area where that culvert will go. 2,045 linear feet. The trail, obviously weather dependent. They're hoping to have it poured by the end of this month, and fencing hopefully completed in mid to late January. Again, this is the connectivity map that just shows how those two sections allow you to go quite a ways, especially that Falls connection that goes up to Stony Creek Drive and goes all the way across over to the school. This is information. This is actually part of our grant, the location map that we used in the grant application for the North Central Texas Council of Governments. It was a really competitive program. I believe there were 33 or 34 applications, and they only funded 13. And it was somewhere around $54 million for those projects. So this was the budget summary for the 1.45 mile section that goes behind the school, with the 8-foot trail connections to the school district, as well as some of the existing residential to the east of the school. And then that also will tie in with some spurs, a long trip down to the roundabout, and the existing sidewalks that are there can be used to access Town Hall, Park Square, the park, and so the overall goal was to take bikes and pedestrian traffic off of Collins. And so a few of the details there: 35 wayfinding signs, 2 hawk signals, crosswalks, ADA accessible ramps. It was a $2.2 million project. Right. Yeah, that's it's hard to see here, but this is just kind of the funding recommendations here. You can see, you know, yeah, I know it's once you, we are on row 6, our project. So those first 7 projects were actually recommended for funding. The rest of these were not. A few of them were withdrawn. But, you know, we, like I said, it was pretty competitive. You got DeSoto, Carrollton, Fort Worth, Crowley, Keller, and then down here at the bottom, Arlington, North Richland Hills, Hearst, Lancaster, projects that did not get funded. So just to kind of summarize that, at the Regional Transportation Council meeting, almost $1.8 million towards that $2.2 million project. We're meeting with COG staff. I believe it's January the 17th. We'll go through the next steps with them. We have to execute an AFA, an advanced funding agreement, before December of 23, so a year later, and then we have to move towards construction and allocate the funding. And the match, the 20% match, was $447,824 before December of 2025. This is just another image here of something from our grant application.
Well, on that match, you know, the last grant we applied for, we had to pay for 100% and then they reimbursed us 80. Is it similar to that, or do we just have to pay the first $447,824 and then they pick up the balance?
Yeah, as long as it stays within that budget of
Okay.
that 2.2. But yeah, it's an 80-20.
But it's, I like this approach, if that's correct, that we pay up to a certain point and then they take over, as opposed to the reimbursement type thing.
Right.
Okay, that's cool.
So moving on to the Dallas County, the MCI of the Master Capital Improvement Program, their 7th call. This was something that we applied for back in 2019. You know, in 2020, Commissioner Price recommended that we receive an award up to $860,000, and that was to design the entire Rails to Trails corridor. Obviously, at the time, we didn't own the property, so it was a design-only grant. And this one is 50-50 reimbursable. The plan would be, I'll move on to this next one. This is the 2023 Transportation Alternative statewide call. This is another 80-20 grant program. They're looking for large regional projects. We will probably apply for this in the large scale active transportation infrastructure category. But the awards range from $100,000 to $25 million per project. It's a 2-step process. The first the preliminary application is due January 27th of 23, and then if your project is accepted and they believe that it's something that you know that you've got everything in order, then they'll pass you on to the next round. That application is due June the 5th, and hopefully by October of 2023 they've made their determinations on funding. And so the plan would be to use the funds from the Dallas County, the MCIP project, to design the project, all of the Rails Trails corridor, carving out the piece that we just got the grant funding for, and then apply for this grant. As you all know, that as far as the scoring on these grant applications, everybody scores them differently. Our consultant at HAF that we've worked with, if you know, a lot of times if you've got an RFP and you're ready to go and you've got the funds committed to the project, which we actually do for the design, it's already appropriated in this year's fund and this year's budget. So all of those things, a lot of times can get you up to 30% as far as the planning process goes, which would be really beneficial for us in that initial application with the state. So
would we have to have it fully designed by June 5th if we pass the 27th, or not?
well, I think the key would just be actively pursuing that.
Okay.
Because this is going to be, this one here, I sat in on the workshop. It was a 3-hour workshop for this. That was just talking about the grant process, the application. This one is going to be lengthy in terms of how long it takes to get everything done and actually get the money. You know, I know that once you have to use all of TxDOT's procurement methods. You can't even select your contractor, if you will, without them vetting and saying okay. So there's going to be a lot of red tape involved with this because of the dollar amounts.
I remember last time you had that slight override fee in it and everything, but without it, you don't get the grant, so.
Right. So,
And it is nice for us, because the TxDOT office, if you're not aware, is at the corner of 80 and 30. So if you have questions, it's a short drive.
well, it's a real opportunity to get, you know, certainly that first piece up there, what we used to call Safe Routes to School grant, that piece that's essentially going to be constructed, this area here.
Can you go back to that slide that had the black lines on it? So this is, the black lines are what we're doing this coming year with this recent grant. Like you said, down from the rail spur all the way down Tripp, and then that looks like from the elementary school, correct? Not the intermediate, back around the intermediate. Is that along Nance, or is it, looks like it's short of Nance?
Yeah, it's on the school property there, along Nance.
Yeah, okay, cool. And then in the future, we could potentially do one, or I guess that'd be a good question for the development that's going in south of Nance.
This area. in
Right,
here.
I haven't ever looked at that plan. Are they gonna have houses facing Nance? And if so, are they gonna be required to do that sidewalk all the way down Nance?
Those are large lots, I don't know.
Or are
if
they
they're
gonna
required.
back up to Nance?
I think
Well,
one
the ones
acre-
that faced Tripp had to do sidewalks on Tripp, but
Yeah.
ones that back up to Tripp don't.
So there's already a pretty good section that's poured here. I would say it's generally this area right here. And there's already some spurs that come out
Right,
into
well, I
the-
guess what I'm asking for is from the end of the rail spur trail, that black line going east along Nance down to the entrance of whatever phase of Stony Creek that is, are they gonna, you know,
Yeah, I'm
we
not
looked at
sure if
paving that
it's
at
the
some point.
backyard or the front yard. I wanna say it's the backyard because I believe this is a boulevard entrance here.
okay,
Maybe like right in here.
yeah, so odds are that's. not, but as narrow as Nance is, it would be nice if they had a sidewalk going down there. Well, all good news, so,
Yeah, it's, yeah. I know there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on with this. You know, it's gonna be a paper tiger for sure. The statewide call, like I said, a 3-hour workshop on how to fill out the grant application. That
but
tells,
yeah, I
that
did it
tells you
last,
something.
last time, and then the gentleman that's with Half now did the application a few years back when Michael was still the, the president, and I was just focused on trails. But, well, good job. You guys did the grant for this one, right?
We
Application, we didn't
worked
hire
with,
that out. So.
we did, we worked with Half on this one. We worked with David.
It's a great job. Thank
Um,
you.
You know, those folks they do this for a living and they're good at what they do, and yeah, I've asked for them to, we should get a proposal on this statewide call. You know, if we get that, we'll vet it and see. You know, initially, I guess this is just me being cheap. I'll just say that it's hard to pay somebody to do something, but the reality is they're really good at it. They know how to get it done. And when you look at the value added, the price that you pay for the consulting and the grant administration versus the payoff, in this case, it's money well spent. So even I'm having to learn that. So,
And then, when are we starting the Trails Master Plan?
so we've got, I've got an RFP that should be ready to go out in January for actually to design, the grant that we just got. I've got a RFP to design all of the rails to trails that would coincide with our application and all of those things. There's a chance it could go out this month. And then JD and I have been working on a RFP for the total master plan for the trails. And so we may, if it works out, we may put both of those out at the same time. So.
Cool. Anybody have any questions or feedback? Exciting. Looks like we'll be very busy next year. Because with all of that, there'll be extra meetings.
Yeah, it's gonna, you know, I would, for sure, I know when it comes to the design for this whole thing, you know, there's gonna be public input meetings, things of that nature. No doubt, you know, the two residential developments we're gonna have to everybody's gonna need to weigh in on that, and decisions will have to be made on how to route that trail in a way that everybody's at peace with it. So I definitely think that there'll be, like I said, I've already talked to the consultant, and we want to be receptive to what their thoughts are on that, and that way, moving forward, we have something. You know, I think there's some different ideas that JD and Lyle and I have talked about internally that make sense. As far as if some of the roads, there may be ways to tie in some of this with road widening projects, things of that nature. So, but definitely, yes, it's gonna be busy and there's gonna be lots of stuff going on, and I would be willing to bet there'll be more meetings, so.
We get paid more, right?
Yep. Well, good. Move on to item number 5, discuss future agenda items and events. So, key first future agenda item is our joint meeting with council, so.
And you said February you think may be better for y'all? Or,
I'm out some in February, but I don't remember when.
I guess we just need to look at dates and then iron it down. Cause everybody has stuff going on, but.
Last meeting, did we talk about the agenda item you wanted on there, or has that been
Nope.
resolved?
That's still another one that we have to talk to council first, it sounds like, but.
is this, executive session?
I'd like to get an update on, just a general update on what's going on Collins, and then also on Beltline, as far as what you guys know. Economic development wise.
Be nice to get an update or be invited to participate or something, or invite one of the representatives from North Texas Tollway Authority to come and tell us what their thoughts are. I don't know if it's us inviting them to come and give us an update or asking if we can come participate in some of their planning sessions or what.
So
Since
I know
that's
that
been handed over from TxDOT to them.
So probably a month and a half ago, they are meeting with all their stakeholders right now, and they did meet with the town. They had a few more folks that they were going to meet with in some of the proposed areas, and then town council actually asked that same thing last night. So I would imagine town manager's going to be reaching out to them to give some updates on where they're at, and my guess is they once they finish those meetings, they'll start coming in periodically giving updates. So
Anything else? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion made by member Cash, seconded by member Pat Manabon, and we adjourn. I guess we have to. Passes. We adjourn at 6:20 p.m.